What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. What are we gonna do today? What are we doing on this freaking car? There's like two options of things that we can do. There's always options. I always say there's always options. Option one is try and diagnose why this turbo is being a bit too noisy for us, right? It's a bit rattly. So we'd have to pull the turbo kit off. We'd have to pull the radiator, pull the turbo kit off, pull the turbo off the manifold, and then tear the turbo down, see if we see anything obvious going on. It's either that or we continue buttoning up the rest of the build. We still have to wire in all of our gauges, just that kind of stuff. The little odds and ends that we need to finish up with this car. And I mean, we could probably do both, but I think we should probably start with the turbo kit just in case we have to order parts. I think that's a good idea. Or send the turbo in. I think it's a good idea. Yeah, let's start with that. So we're gonna have to pop the radiator off, meaning we're gonna have to drain all the water again, meaning I'm gonna miss the bucket again and it's gonna go all over the floor. And then turbo kit is so easy to pull off. V-band for the downpipe, lower intercooler pipe, manifold nuts, oil feed line, oil drain, and it's off. So maybe, what, 30 minutes to get this turbo kit out of here? And then a few more minutes to pull that turbo apart. So yeah, let's get to work and hopefully we can figure it out relatively quick. We have the turbo off and pretty much everything pulled apart. Now, I didn't see anything weird going on except for one thing that I don't think it was making the sound, but it most certainly could have been. It looks like this dump tube right here that's going from the wastegate and it loops back to the downpipe. It's an external wastegate, but it's just a recirc setup. And that clearly was rubbing on something. And if you come over to the radiator, it's kind of hard to tell because it's not a brand new radiator, so it probably had previous damage. But it looks like maybe a little bit right there it was rubbing. Yeah, that's gotta be it. That's the only thing that's kind of deep. So I'm trying to figure out what to do. I don't want to run the car at all with no radiator whatsoever, like just for a test. And we can't really run it without that dump tube either because it's all built in together with the downpipe elbow. As a temporary solution, I'm kind of at a loss what to do. Long term, we could either have this little section rebuilt, which would be fairly simple, or we could pick up a half rad setup for the car. So the half radiator would come out to probably right about here to here. So we'd ditch that fan, we'd have that same fan mounted that's on the radiator, we'd put that on the half rad, and it would give us a ton of clearance up in here. All right, so we pulled the entire turbo apart, everything looked completely fine, so we reassembled the entire turbo, and we're gonna throw this thing back together. What I do know is that neither wheel was hitting the housings, especially this turbine wheel over here. If it was hitting, you would see silver where it was rubbing, right? So there's nothing there. That looks beautiful. Same with the compressor wheel as well. There would be clear evidence, clear markings on the housing where it's rubbing, and there's not. So I think we are 100% good to go there. What we do know for a fact is that this guy was rubbing pretty badly on the radiator. And remember yesterday, we were talking about how you could hear it in the downpipe. This right here connects to this, and this bolts right to the downpipe. So that makes complete sense as to how that thing would be noisy. I do not know how I didn't see that while it was on the car. I did go ahead and pick up a half rad, a Mishimoto half rad off of MAP. So whenever that shows up, we can get that thing installed. For now, I'm gonna throw the entire turbo kit back on the car, and I'm gonna try to have the radiator pulled forward just a little bit to make sure it's not rubbing on that recirc tube. But yeah, let's go throw this thing back together, get some coolant in it, or get some water back in it, and see what happens. So we got her all back together, filled back up with water, and now we're gonna let it warm up, give her some revs, and see what happens. I have this radiator pulled way back from that dump tube. We probably have, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch of clearance, which is quite a bit more than I had before, obviously. But whenever we get that half radiator in here, which will sit right about here, it's gonna give us all of the clearance in the world. I was on the verge of going on MAP, ordering up probably like a 6466. I'm glad I didn't, because like 30 minutes of looking around and figuring out that a simple recirc tube rubbing on the radiator will cause all of the racket in the world. I'm not gonna wait for a half rad to come in because it's gonna be a week or so. As you guys just heard, this thing sounds absolutely beautiful, absolutely perfect now. Not any screeching or scratching or clunking or thudding or no sus noises going on. No sus. How could we get this radiator to literally sit right up against the core support, top and bottom? So on the bottom, what I did is I pulled these little rubber grommets out. This is where the radiator drops down into these, and these sit on that lower rail down there. So instead of sitting right here in the center, the radiator's now sitting right there, if that makes sense, forward wise. So maybe if we can just like zip tie it forward, and then hopefully that thing doesn't keep rubbing. I have a feeling it would definitely rub a hole in the radiator eventually, especially when we're doing fatty pulls and the motor's like rap, rap, doing wheelies and stuff. It'd probably rub a hole eventually. So I'm excited. At least I think the problem's fixed. I haven't heard a single weird noise like we were hearing yesterday. We definitely do need to button a lot of things up. When we go drive this car, this guy is going to have to come in here. So this is our oil pressure gauge. And then what else? I think it's about the only janky thing that we're gonna have going on right now. A little bit jank, but it'll work. Okay, we need to get some stuff situated. First off, we need to get our transfer case full of oil, and how we're gonna do that and how we're gonna make sure it's full of oil, because if you own an Evo and if you've tried to do the transfer oil before, you know it's very, very difficult. What Jack's Trans recommends to do is you actually fill it in through the drain plug, which I know that sounds crazy. So what we're gonna do is you keep the fill plug in right there. That guy right there is the fill plug. We're gonna put that one back in, and then we're going to pump a whole quart of the oil up through the drain plug. And I picked up this little fitting, which I think is gonna be a freaking game changer. So this guy right here is gonna thread in to that drain plug, right? It's gonna thread into the bottom of the transfer. That barb is gonna connect to our little transfer pump here. We're gonna pump a whole quart up into the transfer. I hope you guys are following along. We're then gonna quickly remove this, thread it out, thread the drain plug in, start the car up, throw it in gear, act like we're driving it around the block, but we're actually gonna be driving it on the lift. Maybe for a minute or two, shut it down, let it settle, pull that fill plug out, that guy there, and it's gonna drain until it stops draining out of there. And then we put the fill plug back in, and we will be 100% done, good to go. Hopefully that makes sense. I know that's probably a little bit confusing. Why would you fill it through the drain plug? But that's what you gotta do, and that's what we're gonna do. So let's attempt it and see what happens. Hard part is definitely pulling out that hose and getting the drain plug back in there without fumbling the freaking drain plug and losing it and losing all the oil. But we got her done. Okay, transfer case is topped off, ready to go, 100%. Don't have to worry about that anymore. Our ACD, we were not able to bleed for some reason, so I need to look into that more before we actually put some serious miles on the car and before we really drive it. Still have to do the Walbro 450, still have to get the AFR or the wideband gauge set up for data logging as well. But it's almost dark out and I wanna go drive the car around the block real quick. So that's what we're gonna do. All we're gonna do is put the wheels on it, torque the lug nuts down, or just a little bit, you know, they don't gotta be properly torqued to spec. And if we can get a quarter mile on the car tonight, I'd be happy. Okay, we got a total of 8 lug nuts on out of 20. We already made sure she went through the gears. It successfully goes through all the gears just fine. Don't ask me how, but it does. So that was pretty cool. Now we're gonna go rip this thing around the block. Just a few little miles. Not even a mile, just a little bit of drive. Literally just want to see this thing on the ground and outside of the shop for the first time in a very long time. I do not know how he pulled this off. I've never been so deep into a car before, so I've never been this excited about a car running and driving before. Like, I literally am about to cry. It looks so crazy outside the shop for once. Like, look at this bay, guys. The alignment is so far off because we completely rebuilt the rack. This wheel is a little bit like that. Pretty sure this one is way like that. So I don't even know about driving this thing. I'm just freaking ecstatic to see this car outside the shop. It looks insane. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm gonna go to the road, go down the road 2 feet, turn around, come back. The brakes need to be bled some more. We had the ABS pump off, so we had literally every single ounce of brake fluid drained out of the car. So it's gonna take a while, I'm sure, to get them bled properly, but yeah, so those don't work. E-brake works, so we're good there. I'm shaking, I'm so nervous. My taillight is out, but my freaking car runs, boys. The freaking car runs and drives. We just drove it out of the shop under its own power, and we didn't leave a trail of oil on the ground, or trail of gears, or a trail of transfer case, or pistons or rods. It's actually staying together. Oh my gosh, it's frickin' driving. This is the most sus thing I've ever done in my life. Hopefully there's no popos around here. I can hear that T51R mod. Just spool on our little turbo away. Okay, well, that's gonna have to do it for now. Let's go back to the shop. I wish Bobby was here to experience this with me. we do have some sort of bad pulley, or maybe the water pump started making noise. Something's making noise with the serpentine belt. Let me show you guys. So here is how it sounds now. Let me rev it up. And here is how it sounds with the belt off. I am happy. I am very, very happy. Obviously the car still needs a lot of work, but we've made so much progress on it over the last few days. Way more than I expected. I remember originally putting this motor in, I'm like, okay, this car might be done in like a month or so. And I may have said this on YouTube, not sure if I did, but it's been like a week maybe since we got the motor in, and the car is already driving. I don't know how we did it. Before we put any more miles on this thing, we need to like properly button it up. I don't really care about the fenders and hood and headlights and all that, but as far as like the oil pressure gauge, the fuel pump, getting it able to be data logged, all that stuff is very, very, very crucial right now. And I'm just letting my excitement get the best of me when I shouldn't be driving it, but I'm driving it anyway. So enough of that. It would be nice to figure out that whine. It's not a super big deal because I know it's nothing internal, but it would still be nice to get that situated. And then I feel like I heard a noise coming from the trans or the transfer, some sort of whine, like higher RPM. Should probably get that figured out as well. Hopefully it's nothing internal on the trans or the transfer. There's only one reason why Jared comes to the shop, because something's broken.
Nothing's broken, I'm just dumb.
What did you break?
I don't know, I guess we'll find out.
Okay, Mr. Jared, what's broken?
It's just a rattle.
Just a rattle.
Just a rattle.
Okay.
But it's very annoying.
I'm guessing you broke your crank in half. It's gotta be it.
Yeah, gotta be.
All right, well, fire this bitch up, see if we can hear it. He said it only happens when he's driving, so I don't think we're gonna hear it right now, but we might. This shit's hella what's up. Probably all that two-step you've been doing. Evo problems. That's like an exhaust leak.
You can kind of see like watch. Whoa, what the fuck was that?
That was a giant rock.
I did not even see that. Good, as I'm not paying attention.
Oh shit, you're all up. Oh fuck. Come forward a tiny bit. Bro, that exhaust leak is bad. Alright, get there, perfect. Let's see what kind of sus action we got going on down here. Nothing sussy yet.
Wish I had a car lift.
I'm gonna lightly crawl under. Hopefully she don't fall on me.
Sketchy motherfucker.
I don't see anything. Nothing sussy right now. Alright, well, you wanna get in and just fire it up?
Yeah.
It's something to do with the manifold or the downpipe. Because there's a donut, there's like a little flex donut thing on the downpipe with two like spring bolts on there that might be leaking. But it's also fucking hot right now. I'm gonna burn my chode trying to work on this janky ass car. But let me just pull that manifold or the heat shield off. Bro, who put this turbo on last? You got one bolt on there. Was that me or you? Was that me?
I think so.
That's hella sus.
Why is there only one?
That shit's funny as hell.
Bro, did those that didn't back off, did it? There's no way. No. They just never were on there?
Bro. And I bet... I don't know if that one's loose or not. Holy shit. That clunk you're hearing on startup is probably your turbo flopping.
Yeah.
I hope that wasn't me. I hope that was you, but I feel like it was me. That's funny. Either way, that's fucking hilarious. I've never seen something so funny in my life. That is the literal definition of hella sus.
So wait, what? Yeah, that's a little sketch.
That ain't sketch, it's just sus. Okay, we got some new hardware on there. We're gonna fire it up and see what happens. Still leaking a little bit. That gasket's probably blown out. Time to slap a 78.99 on this bitch. We got it back in the shop. Overall, very, very successful day. I am pumped with the progress that we made, and I'm very, very, very excited for tomorrow. I feel like tomorrow is going to be the day where we make a ton of more progress and hopefully actually get this car on the road. That's the plan. That's the goal. If it happens, I don't know. Depends if we have more problems or if we can actually just put it together and be done. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I love to hear you guys' comments and feedback. Peace out. I will see you guys tomorrow.